Yo guys, what's going on? It's Dub here. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to fix files not importing in a Davinci Resolve. This mostly happens with AVI files and MKV files, but some other codecs might be a little bit weird with Davinci and might not want to import. As you can see, if I try to drag this AVI file into my timeline, it doesn't want to drag in there. If I try to drag it into my media pool, nothing happens. So we're going to need an external program to convert it into a codec that Davinci can read. So all the links for what I'm going to be using today will be in the description below. So the first thing you're going to need is this program called Handbrake. It is free and open source, and it is a video transcoder and encoder. So what that means is you can compress files, you can decompress files, as well as change what kind of file type or codec it is. So what you're going to want to do is just go to this website, link will be in the description, and click download now. This will download the exe to your computer, and then you just got to install it. And after that, it won't work initially. You will need to get a Microsoft.NET desktop, and it will ask you to go to a link. It'll come up with a button. You can either go there, but make sure you get the desktop version. But if that doesn't work for some reason, you can do it manually. You will land on a page like this, but you're just going to want to click the little arrow and then go to the version that is 6.0.9. This works with the Handbrake version that I showed on the previous window. So click here, go down to the .NET desktop runtime 6.0.9, and then download the x64 version and install that on your computer. And once you do that, Handbrake should be able to work fully and it should be functional now. Alright guys, once you have Handbrake open, you should land on a screen like this. And the first thing you're going to want to do when you open Handbrake is go down to your preferences, go to output files, and then once you're in output files, you're going to want to go down to MP4 file extension. And by default, it'll either be on always M4V or automatic, but make sure to change it to always use MP4, and then check any other settings if you need to, and then just restart Handbrake. Once you've restarted Handbrake, you're going to be back on the main screen. So just drag the video that you want to convert. I'm going to drag in the AVI from earlier, and as you can see, my AVI is now imported right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys the best conversion settings. So I'm going to go to my presets and click on my preset. You can make a preset by clicking on save new preset, adding a name or a description and whatever else you want, and then adding it. So after you have all the settings, you can just click here and then get your settings automatically loaded for you. So starting from the beginning, this is my summary tab. So I make sure to have all of this enabled. It should say MP4. And at the bottom, if you did the setting correctly without having to change anything else, it should say .mp4 at the very bottom on the save as. For the dimensions, you can see this is what I have set here. I have it all pretty much just to be the same as the original clip. And that's pretty much all I have for this tab. For the filters tab, it should be all default, but if you see anything different for you, just change it to what I have here. On video, this is the important part. So as you can see here, it says frame rate FPS, same as source. This will automatically be on variable, but you want to change it to constant and then change the drop down menu to same as source. So that way it won't be changing anything about the original clip after you convert it. So for me, this clip is 600 FPS, so it will stay 600 FPS after I convert it. This is the quality tab. The more you go right, the higher quality it will be, and the more you go left, the lower quality it will be. I recommend a setting around 23 to 20 because that is where I've noticed the best quality that looks similar to the original clip. The more you go right, the more it's going to be placebo, and it'll just make the file size bigger. And the more you go left, it will noticeably start to look worse. And right here on the video encoder, you can see it's set to H.264. This is the setting that I recommend using if you don't have an NVIDIA GPU, but if you do have an NVIDIA GPU, use the NVIDIA NVENC H.264 or the H.265 depending on what you're trying to convert it for. I recommend the H.264 just because it's reliable and the NVIDIA makes it quite quick. If you're trying to convert using just the normal H.264, your CPU will be only used and it will make your computer fans go quite loud, but if you use the NVIDIA option, everything will be much quieter and be much quicker. So if you have that option, use it right there. And then now for my audio, subtitles, and chapter, I have this all set on default. Alright guys, so now that you have all the settings set up, just go ahead and make the preset, and once you have the preset, you can do this as many times as you need every time you open Handbrake. So now what you're going to want to do is make sure you know where you're saving it to, and it's all good. I'm saving it to a fine place for me, and then go and hit start encode, and once you hit the encode button, it will show at the bottom as a little bar, and once this is done, you should be able to import it into Davinci. So I will come back when this is done. Alright guys, the the encode is done, and it only took a few seconds. It was pretty quick, and I didn't even end up using the NVIDIA NVENC H.264. I just used the regular, and since this clip was only around 4 seconds, it took about 10 seconds to encode. So now let's go into DaVinci and import this new converted file. Alright guys, so now I have it as a MP4, and if I try to drag that same AVI file now converted it into an MP4 in a DaVinci, as you can see, there we go, it imports just like that. And you can see my whole clip is now inside of DaVinci. Anyways guys, that's the end of the video. If this helped you, please drop a like and subscribe. I would appreciate it a ton, as I'm going to be making more Davinci Resolve tutorials and editing related content in the future. So I will see you guys next time. Later.